All right, so it's Tuesday, November the 11th, November the 10th.
Oh, you're a
I'm a
day
day
ahead.
ahead. Welcome to the ggCircuit Twitch cast, running a LAN center with Zach Johnson at eBash Video Game Centers and ggCircuit, and his underling, myself, yours truly, Jason McIntosh. And
J-Mac.
today, let's see here. Today we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about the LAN Center question of the week, which is going to be talking about LAN Center software. We're going to talk about tournaments at LAN centers. We're going to talk about the tournament system of ggCircuit and a few other little things in the pulse. What's happening with ggCircuit and the center spotlight of the week. So Zach, the LAN Center question of the week this week. I don't know where it comes from. I feel like
It always comes
it's
from
a
somewhere.
it's a
Yeah,
request and dedication, like a Casey Kasem
it
thing.
is. It is exactly that. And this one, you know, it probably came from three different sources this past week, but that question comes up in all the consulting I do with new centers. Is why do we need software? What kind of software should we run? And I'm super surprised a lot of times that some centers are just they feel like they're opening up a mom and pop like dime store retail place, and they just want to get the QuickBooks Sam's Club package that comes with the cash register, and they enter their little codes in and they hit a button, and then the people just get a disc from them and go play Xbox or sit down at the PC and go play the games. And then they start getting more in depth to it and realize, that the most crucial part of running a LAN center is finding the right software to run your business. So I'm going to try to stay completely neutral as I talk about this because I don't want to push necessarily one software company over another because there's a lot of different LAN center software out there. But I just wanted to touch on it again, and I tell these people that I'm consulting with the same thing. You would not really open up a bar or a restaurant or a retail store if you want to be successful long term. You don't want to track stuff with a pen and paper. You don't really want to use spreadsheets. You want some sort of automated system to track everything for your business, whether it be for stock control, sales projections, employee management. If you have employees working for you besides being like a self-employed little small mom and pop business, there's just a lot of reasons why software is crucial for any company to run. Now, whatever your business is, even if it's not LAN Center, I guarantee you that there's software out there that's developed specifically for your business. JMac, you and I have recently used a really cool piece of software called Pipedrive, and we've started using that to try to track onboarding centers through our software. So, for ggCircuit centers all over the world, the last 4 days we've had 13 centers sign up in Peru, South America. And in order to track those through the process, whether or not did they get their welcome email? Did they get their software downloaded? Have they installed it? Are they running yet? Have they put prizes in the prize vault? Like all those stages for onboarding a center. If we didn't have Pipedrive tracking that for us, it'd be impossible to keep up with as many centers that are reaching out and contacting us. I just started a new Pipedrive for our sponsorship drives. So same sort of thing. If I've reached out to Razer, where are we at in that process? If I've reached out to Alienware, where are we at? So you have to have some sort of software running your store. Now, specifically for LAN centers, that's crucial for controlling PC access and for saving money and purchases on games. So if you've got 5 PCs set up, you're a little tiny shop, you don't want to have to buy 5 copies of the game for all of those to be able to run all the time. All the time, that's not going to be the same 5 players playing everything. Now, a popular game like Counter-Strike Source, you may have more copies than, say, a single-player game like Mirror's Edge or Fallout 4 that just came out today. You're going to only want a copy or two of that. You're going to have it installed on all of them, but you want to release one license to each of those players as they launch the game. And the software that we use in the industry today, almost all of them handle that in some way, shape, or form. It might be a smart launch. It might be Cyber Planet. It might be Cyber Cafe Pro. It might be Cafe Suite. It might be add-on products from somebody like Gizmo that builds something on top of a product like Smart Launch. But you have to have something that controls all of that so that you can manage the game licenses as they're released to players and keep players from messing with all of your stuff on the computer. Some guys just use deep freeze and they freeze the image of their PC. The players can come in and do whatever they want. And then when that restarts, deep freeze will restart it and set it back to normal. But even on top of that, you've got to couple that with some of these other products because they also track a lot of your metrics is what you're selling. So what I always tell them is, what are you selling as a game center? You know, obviously you can sell snacks and drinks and things, but you're selling time. So if your main product, you know, at eBash stores, 80% of our revenue comes from selling time. That is not a tangible thing. That is not something we have sitting in a shelf and we pull out and hand to a customer when they buy it. Time is 100% tracked by the software that we use. And so if you don't have a good piece of software tracking your time, you may have loopholes behind the scenes where employees are maybe giving away time, or the customers have figured out how to get around that system and stay playing longer, and they're basically stealing from you because your software allows it. You don't have time to go out and watch all these people in your store. So again, software, I can't imagine running a store without any of this software to do these sort of things. One big thing that I tell people, and again, this is a differentiating piece between the different softwares you look at, is at eBash, we have people come in and we allow them, we use Smart Launch as our point of sale system. We use Smart Launch to run our stock control. You know, it's important if all of the software can do that for you, use all those features, because a lot of kids will come in and mom and dad will put $30 on their account. And the $30 can be redeemed for snacks or drinks. They can be redeemed for game time. So we allow them to store that money on their account and use that money as they need it over a day or two or however long. That's a huge selling point for us. We make a lot of extra money because we give those kids the ability to store money on their account. If anybody has any kids or you've seen any kids, if you put $10 in snack money on a kid's account, he's going to spend it. If you hand a kid a $10 bill, he's probably going to lose it. Another kid may pick it up in the store and find it, but if you put it on his account, it's attached to that kid. He can come in and spend it anytime he wants. For those of us that worry about our credit card transaction fees, the older guys can come in and swipe their credit card for $20, and we only have to run that credit card transaction one time for $20. We don't have to, you know, run a $4 transaction every time they want to buy a Coke and a candy bar and that sort of thing.
But it is important to set a minimum.
Right. For credit card sales, you know, we set a minimum. And again, you don't want them to come up and keep doing this over and over, even with cash. Some of the software even has the ability for players to order at their desk, which is a super cool feature we've never used. But if you're playing a League of Legends match and you get super thirsty and you don't want to leave the queue and you're queued back up with your buddies, you know, you can go down into the taskbar in some of these softwares and order a Coca-Cola, pay for it off your account. Then an employee just brings the Coke back to your station and hands it to you. I mean, that's something super cool that we've talked about doing at eBash that we've never done. But I think software allows you to do a lot more customer service type activities like that. Now, the other thing with a key piece of software is that, sure, it helps you run the business or whatever else, but as a business owner, you need to make business decisions. And you have to make business decisions about critical things like games that have reached their license limit. How do you know when to buy a new game? How do you know if the games are being all used at one time? Just yesterday, my manager here in Terre Haute, Dustin, sent me an email and said, hey, our H1Z1 licenses they hit the limit 56 times in the last week. So we know that 56 times in the last week, H1Z1 was in full usage by all players in our store, and we need to buy more copies of that game. The reverse of that is, for maintenance purposes, if you have 40 copies of an older game, let's say the original Counter-Strike, maybe those aren't being used as much. Maybe you can see that those are not being used at all, and that could free up hard drive space or be one less game that you maintain for your technical staff. You could pull it out of the library and put a new game in there. And again, the software tracks all of that stuff and lets you know. It lets you know times and days of the week that you're busier. So a lot of them will let you price your hours differently depending on the time or day of the week. So you can have $1 hours on your slower days or your slower times during the day and $5 hours during your peak hours, so that you can take advantage of the fact that, hey, I can drive people to my store when I'm not busy and I can make more money off the times when I'm really busy. The big example I always give everybody when talking about software is that at eBash, we've started doing these big conventions. We go out to Gen Con, we go out to Planet Comic Con, we go out to Indie PopCon. We're talking about doing more conventions next year. We set up 100+ station networks in 2 days, and then we have 5,000+ players come in and create accounts, and we sell time during that time period. We would not even come close to doing that if we did not use software to manage and run all of those things. You know, there's so many people. The CEO of Origin PC came through Gen Con, and I gave him a tour. He was blown away that we were able to have that many players playing that many games during that amount of time, and how we kept track of like how you rotate a player in and out. Like when is their hour up? Like how do you get them off the PC and another one in? And how do you have stats running up on the board and show leaderboards and all these things? And I said, hey, it's all due to the software that's running behind the scenes. It's 11 years of running this in our stores and figuring out the ways to tweak 4 different software companies' products together and use those in this environment, you know, where we can bring in volunteers to help work the front with you, J-Max, sitting at the front checking people in. Within an hour, they're experts on running the software and how to check people in because we've made it that easy and we've made that many adjustments over time. So anybody, you know, just in summary, anybody starting up, anybody that's been in business for a year and they find themselves struggling, I would challenge you to go back and look at your software, see if you're using all of it to its full extent. There's probably pieces in it that you're not using that you can monetize. There's probably, we've talked about doing rentals now is built into the software we use, Smart Launch, so we could start renting headsets out for $3 to a player. That would generate more revenue for us, help us buy newer headsets instead of having so many broken ones, and we would have a whole new revenue category for our stores if we rent those headsets out using our software. So I think that's super important for all of us to do on a regular basis is relook at the software we're using. And if, as a new center starting up, you know, just get it out of your head of thinking about running that with your QuickBooks point of sale cash register. You have to have one of these pieces of software as a bolt-on.
Yeah, and I'd like to think that most LAN store owners are pretty technically savvy if they're going to set something up like a LAN center. However, I think it's worth noting that unless it's some software that's critical to the business, a Smart Launch software, a cafe type software, that kind of stuff that's running the day-to-day and the monetary pieces. I mean, stuff like Google Apps, stuff like Pipedrive, which is not a big cost up front, it's a little cost each month. There's all kinds of tools online now that are a subscription service that I think
MailChimp is a great one.
Yeah, MailChimp along the way can save you money rather than having a big cost up front.
Yeah, and one other thing too, real quickly, we work pretty closely with Smart Launch because of the ggCircuit software is integrated with that. And I was just with the CEO on a call last week, and Mike and I were talking about, the problem with centers onboarding and getting used to the software. None of this, everybody has to remember the first time you used Windows, it was foreign to you. You weren't very familiar with it. You couldn't figure out how to get around. The first time you got your first smartphone, it felt foreign to you. And now they've become second nature. The thing everybody has to remember with all these softwares, sure, some of them are better than others, but all of them, there's a pretty steep learning curve when getting into a new software. And you cannot give up using software to help automate your business just because you don't get it on the first try. Now, granted, some of them are buggy and you've got to figure things out, but don't give up on that process because in the end, you'll be glad that you stuck with it and you'll be glad to start using a lot of those features that at first seems cumbersome and may not make sense and you're not really understanding how it works and it may be complicated because it has so many features. Stick with it. Those of us that have been in business this long, again, the first year we were in business, we spent a lot of our time learning how to use all the software we use today. The next 10 years of our business, we've spent tweaking it. But the first year, it was a huge learning curve. And there's a lot of us that have used it forever. We don't have time to help everybody through it. You need to go through that. You need to have that christening into the software so that you can become familiar with using it. You don't want me to fish for you. You want to learn how to fish. You've got to do it yourself so that you can make changes as they come up in the future.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the LAN Center growth idea of the week. And this is always a sticky subject for us. Failures and successes over the years. And that's talking about tournaments at your LAN Center.
Yep. And again, we always have somebody that has prompted these questions every week. So it's super cool, that we work with so many different centers that have so many questions and ideas. But just a quick background on this. We had a company come to us that wanted to do a company event between their office in Detroit, Michigan, and their office in Indianapolis, where we have a store. So I reached out to Jimmy at Activate, and said, hey, you guys are right down the road from them. You want to do something? And we ended up we ended up not doing the thing. The people wanted us to go to their office, but Jimmy and I started talking, and he came up with the question. I said, I'm not going to answer this. I'm going to use it on my show tomorrow. This was just yesterday. But he said, we've really been trying to get tournaments going. How do we get tournaments going in our center? And that's a great question that I think a lot of centers run into right off the bat is how do we run them? How do we promote them? How do we get people interested? How do we have them be successful? And so I just want to break down, what we've learned over 11 years running tournaments. Now, the asterisk to this is I love tournaments. There's no disputing that. My passion for tournaments comes from my background playing collegiate basketball all the way, until I started playing Gus Macker, for those of you that know those 3-on-3 tournaments that travel around. I was always looking for places to go find competitions as a player. That is, I feel like, something that's missing from a lot of LAN centers today is the activity of being able to get together and play in an organized competition. Now, that being said, there's been companies that have started up recently, like Epic Gaming down in Dallas, Texas. They were not even open a year, I think, as a lounge. All they did was focus on giant payout esports tournaments. And I think you can go too far with that direction, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But let me just talk about a couple things first. Tournament negatives. A lot of centers are down on tournaments. There's nothing worse than spending tons of time and money and energy promoting the event to only have 3 people show up. I understand that. I mean, there's nothing worse that takes the air out of your sails than this big hype train of all these people that said they're going to show up and then they don't end up coming to your center, and you've spent all this time and effort and money on this, and it's super discouraging, and I understand that. The other negative, one of the other negatives is it displaces regular customers. So you have 40 people show up. We just had this last weekend. We had a Heroes of the Storm event on Saturday during our gigantic Extra Life fundraising event. And I think we had 6 teams show up, for our Heroes of the Storm tournament, trying to play while we have 128 Extra Life people in the store. And we were not prepared. Had we been prepared for that, we could have pulled it off more than anybody else, probably because of our partnerships with Alienware and the number of PCs we have available. But it displaced our regular customers. It was not the greatest experience for our Extra Life partners, and we love them. Not that we don't love the tournament guys, but that displaced them during our busiest times. And then, of course, running a tournament properly requires extra work, extra cost, extra systems, extra copies of the game. Just all of the preparation that goes into it, it's very expensive beyond what it costs you to pay out like a cash prize or the prizes or anything else. So keep that in mind when you're playing these. So there's a lot of cost that goes into it. Now, some positives on it. It's a great way to reach new players. A lot of our long-term diehard customers at our eBash stores came to us because they first showed up for a tournament. They saw a tournament posted at Toys R Us or at GameStop or at Best Buy, and they showed up for a Madden tournament or a Halo tournament or whatever it is, got to know our people. We were able to make a relationship, and they became regular customers. So it's a great way to get new people in. It gives your center the sense of something more important. It gives you a coolness factor. It gives you a reputation of being a tournament center. Now, not everybody may play in a tournament, but if you're a League of Legends player and your center that you go to on a regular basis has all these tournaments going on, you just feel better when you're in the store. Like my center ran a $1,000 tournament last weekend, or they had this really fun NVIDIA Weekend Warriors event, and I was able to participate in it. It just gives your center the coolness and a wow factor beyond, playing on the computer at the library. That's, again, just always something going on, always an event going on, always something to do at your LAN center is important. And then I think what we want to talk about, a little bit is there can be some positives as far as revenue. Like it is possible to make money running tournaments. And I want to make clear that that's not a given. Doesn't come right away. But a lot of centers have always been, hey, you always lose money. You can't make money running tournaments. That's not true. We've made money running tournaments. We'll share some of those ideas here in a minute. But I wanted to start us off by just doing some positives and negatives in the tournament system. Now, there's all kinds of tournaments. Let's talk about that for a minute. So we're not just talking about $2,000 tournaments, $3,000 tournaments, $500, $100 tournaments. It's always not about big cash money, but that's a big part of it. So one of the things you have to do is you have to really identify right off the bat what it is the players are playing for. There has to be a purpose. They're not just going to show up and play for fun. When I used to travel and play slow pitch softball, we played for T-shirts. We wanted to get a T-shirt at the event. We played for a trophy at the end. There were different reasons why you traveled around for the competition side of things, but there was always a carrot that you were striving for. There was always a pot of something at the end of the rainbow. So find something to put out there. It can be a bracketed tournament. It can be, a random tournament. It could be a round robin tournament. It could be all kinds of different things. But one of the things is that you have to identify right off the top, is it money? Is it prizes? Is it for fame? And be clear with that right from the beginning. So you don't have one of these things where you promote a $1,000 tournament and then the day before the tournament, everybody finds out, well, we didn't have enough teams to cover the $1,000. So now we're just playing for these cool trophies. It's very important to stick to your guns, pick a plan, and stick with your plan through the whole planning process. Tournaments don't always have to be player versus player. They don't always have to be team versus team. There's a lot of fun things you can do with tournaments that are PvE, we call them, but zombie challenges, level up challenges. You could bring a brand new account in. You could find a Smurf account in League of Legends and have a race to find out in a brand new account who's the first player that can get 5 ranked wins, 10 ranked wins, whatever that is. Just there's so many different ideas for tournaments that aren't the standard throw the bracket on the wall, guys come in from all over and try to win money at your tournament. Be creative when you're coming up with these tournament types ideas. The other thing is that we've had success with in the past, and this is, again, me, the pot calling the kettle black because we don't do this anymore and we have to get back to doing this at eBash. But we've found ways to create rivalries within our groups. And right away, one of the things we did when we first opened is that we created and promoted clans within the store. And that back in the day, clans were big. You could call them teams now. You could call them organizations is a fun word people use nowadays. You want to be part of an org. Like if you're going to be a Call of Duty player, you got to be part of an org. So you could have fun ways of having rivalries within your center. Go to 4 fast food chains, get some gift certificates from them, get their permission, and have a Chick-fil-A team, a McDonald's team, a Wendy's team, and a Subway team. Have players come out and try to play to earn a spot on one of those teams, and then just put those teams against each other in a monthly competition in different games. We did that a lot with things we used to call Battle for the Banners, where we would have these clans inside of our organization come in on a Saturday, play 4 different games against each other. The same players would have to play League of Legends, and then they'd have to play Halo, and then they'd have to play Age of Empires, and then they'd have to play some random weird old arcade game, off of our main machine or an emulator. Those were well attended. 40, 50 players would come to those events, and they played for a banner in the store. That was called the Battle for the Banner. All they wanted was to get their name on the championship banner in the store. And those events take a lot of work, a lot of planning, and a lot of effort, but it's your regular customers coming in, paying you $20 for a day's worth of fun events that are all mingled together. The key for all of this stuff, goes on to the promotion of the event leading up to it. That is the biggest thing we found, is that impromptu tournaments are cool. If you find yourself on a Saturday night with 20 guys playing some game, throwing an impromptu tournament together for them is awesome. Deciding on a slow night that, I can get more players in my store tonight by announcing we're going to do a League of Legends tournament. It's not going to happen. That's not the way you're going to fill your store. You're not going to get players to just jump in their car and drive in for something. You have to promote these things at least a month away or longer. You have to get that thing posted. You have to post it on your Facebook page, on your website. You have to make flyers for it. You have to do so many different things promoting that event, and you have to start it early. Again, I'm sitting here calling, being the preacher, saying, don't do as I do, do as I say, because we're not perfect at this either at eBash, even though, a lot of people that follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, see that we're ahead of the game on a lot of things. We're behind the game on some of these things as well. So be creative with your outreaches. We've had a lot of success with pizza companies, things you wouldn't even think about, but we buy pizza every Friday night for our lock-ins. And all of our pizza companies we work with are happy to put a flyer on every pizza box if we just bring them the flyers. Make a flyer for your upcoming 2 months worth of events. Put it on, give it to the pizza guy. He'll staple it to the box of every pizza they sell. And you might get 1 or 2 teams from that. Take that same flyer and drop it off at GameStop. We've not had Disc Replay, Play and Trade, GameStop, all those stores. We've never had a store that has said no to us for putting flyers in their store. They may throw them away after we leave. I don't know. I don't think they do because we go back in and see them on the counters. They're inundated. They're just pounded with people coming in the store saying, when's your next Madden tournament? Those stores don't run tournaments. Yep. They want somebody to run tournaments for them. We don't sell games. We're not their competition. We're a perfect partner for them in those situations. High schools and colleges, they all have groups within them that play these games. They have kids that play these games at the high school. A lot of them have clubs at the college level. Find those clubs, reach out to them, let them know. Let the League of Legends club at Indiana University and Purdue University know when your next League of Legends tournament is. They're going to send a team or two. I guarantee you they will send a team or two to your tournament. No matter if you're giving away cash money, if you're giving away Riot points, if you're giving away T-shirts, be clear with what you're giving away. And the other thing I wanted to talk about real quickly is that, price your events accordingly. Don't price yourself out of attendance, because so many people try to do a $1,000 tournament and then price the team passes at $200 to make sure I only need 5 teams to cover my payout. Just get away from that right from the beginning. Plan on not having very many teams and price your entry fee so that the barrier to entry is not so high, so that you can get the train started down the tracks. You're not going to have 200 people show up for your first tournament. You're going to have 20. Count on, okay, I'm going to have 20 people show up. What can I do for 20 people showing up for my first tournament? Okay, if 20 people show up, they're not going to win $500. What can they win? Let's get some cool trophies made. We've gone to our partner in Indianapolis making some trophies. Cost us $9.80 to make an acrylic custom trophy for our Call of Duty players. And our last tournament, we didn't make them. They won like $600 cash first place team. And the first thing they said was, where's our trophies? Because we normally give out trophies. They won $600, $150 each, and they wanted to know where their $9.70 trophy was at. And again, you have no idea. That guy's going to blow that $150 in a week. That trophy's going to sit in his bedroom. It's going to sit in his dorm room. He's going to pack it in his box and move it to his first house and remember that tournament and that event because he's got that trophy to show for it. Yeah. So there's a lot of other things and ways you can promote it. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I just wanted to talk about in talking about promotion is that's a daily task that should be done. Again, we don't do it fabulously every time that some tournaments we promote well, some we don't. But it could almost be a separate person that you have to hire just to promote a tournament. You're saying doing things in a month in advance, and you're touching on a few of these things, but I wanted to be a little bit more clear. Have a page on your website that describes it. Create flyers. Post on Facebook and Twitter. Post on Reddit. We get a great response when we post on Reddit. What am I missing here? MailChimp, newsletters, emails. Tell everybody that walks in the door as you're setting them up to play for the day.
Yeah.
And then, create a plan and follow through with that plan until they're sick of hearing about it. I think another huge thing that LAN Center needs to do, and this is super easy, but it's one of those things where you just have to learn how to do it, then you can repeat it. And that's giving them an option to purchase via PayPal or something directly from your site so that they can sign up. They don't have to worry about missing a deadline for payment or having to come into the store to pay. A lot of teams will wait out until the day before to pay, and we always tell them, look, you can guarantee your spot if you just pay online now, and you don't have to worry about it when you come to the
right,
store.
and you can incent them to pay early. You can give them a higher seed, like the first team to pay is number 1 seed, they might get a bye. You can give them a discount. We've done that before. So a $160 4-man tournament might only be $100 if you prepay before this date and put that date, a week or two before the tournament. So first come, first serve type of options. One thing that I think that we've done in the past that we've gotten away from is that with Call of Duty tournaments, for example, every time we held a Call of Duty tournament, we would have them register online and I would get the email address of the captain, and then I would communicate with the captain via email leading up to the tournament. So a week before, and I'd say, don't forget, in a week, here's the tournament. Whether they paid or not, we would just let them register. Register for the event. You don't have to pay, but I got their email. That captain, that's somebody that was interested enough to sign up for that tournament. Now I have their email as part of that service. As those tournaments go on month after month after month, you build up an email base of, I think I have 200 plus emails in my email base for Call of Duty players that have attended a Call of Duty tournament and won money at one of our stores because we pay out via PayPal. So we have their email address that they get their PayPal payments with. Those are huge marketing tools to get that machine running down the road. So again, your first tournament is not going to have 200 people. Your first tournament might have 10. Just make sure out of those 10 people that show up at your first tournament, 5 or 6 of them come back for your next one. So then if you get 10 more at that one with your 5 or 6 from the first one, now you're at 15 or 16 players. And then that compounds and multiplies as it goes on. Now, real quickly, again, I want to talk about the last point, and then I want to give one example. We got to move on. But the results of this thing are super important. And again, we don't do as good a job of this as we should, but all of these things we're talking about are things that we're focusing the tournament system of ggCircuit to help automate and handle. And we want there to be results that are available after the event and something that goes beyond that event as far as prestige and leaderboards and ladders and bragging rights and things that go along with it. So if you've attended a tournament, again, our tournament system in ggCircuit, if you make a bracket at your center in ggCircuit, the players, everybody that wins a match gets an extra 50 coins, but those are 50 tournament coins. We mark those differently. And so if they attend a Smash Brothers tournament at your store, win 4 matches in Smash Brothers, they'll have 200 tournament coins they earned that will create a leaderboard for your store for Smash Brothers. So every month, if you hold a Smash Brothers event, those will start adding up. And after a year, you'll have certain players that are the number 2, number 1, number 4 Smash Brothers player at your store. And those have all been tracked over time. And they can go back and look at those brackets and see who they beat, see who they, how many matches they won. And they'll have that feeling of, I've got to jump. If I attend this next tournament and the number 1 guy doesn't attend, I'll be able to move past him on the ladder. You could put a prize with that ladder for the whole year. So then you have a meta game going on, with your local tournaments every month leading up to this big year-long challenge to try to get to the top of the leaderboard by attending all those tournaments. The other thing is those follow-ups have to go out on social media. There has to be photos of those events. You have to tag those people if at all possible. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, videos, putting it out there on does what you do, but be active with that. Get more value out of this event than just the players that attended the event. Just the income you brought in from those players coming to the event, or just the sponsors that maybe have put up a little bit of prizes or money for that event. Take it beyond the event. Get some more value out of that so that some of the players that are watching your site might see these things over and over and over again. It looks fun. Hopefully people that follow eBash saw the pictures from the Extra Life event last weekend and they're like, holy cow, that looked fun. I can't wait for the next Extra Life event. It was packed. There's lines of food. There's people playing board games and cards games. We took lots of pictures. We're taking advantage of the fact that it was fun. Like, how do we share that fun with everybody online? Just to close this out, I want to give a little tidbit of just a specific example of something you could try in your center that we've done in the past that worked really well. We had a program called eBash Elite. We allowed the players to use the EE tag in front of their name if they earned the eBash Elite status from an eBash Elite tournament. And what we did for this, and anybody could do this with any game, is that it was open to any single players to join, whether it's a team game or not. And you would show up on a Saturday. It was $20, I think, to come in. You could play all day after the eBash Elite qualifying. But what we would do is we did it for Halo. We did it for Counter-Strike. We did it for League of Legends. We've done it for a lot of different games. But you take all the players, you shuffle them up in a hat, and you split them up onto teams, and they all play a match. Depending on how that match goes, win or loss, you give the players a point. So if you win, you get a point. If you lose, you don't get a point. All the players that just got a point then get split up onto teams for the next round, so that eventually you get to the point where everybody has won a match. So by the end, if some guy's won 3 matches in a row, he's probably a pretty good player. And you got him on a team with another guy that's won 3 and another guy that's won 3 and one guy that's won 0 to make sure you get everybody a win through that process. Once you're through that process, you have a ranked system showing the best players. And you take the players that are undefeated, you put them all in a team against each other until you can weed out the players, until you're down to 4 players, or if it's a 4-player team game or 5 players. Those players win eBash Elite status. And all the eBash Elite status did for us was that for a month, until our next eBash Elite tournament, those eBash Elite players could use that tag on their account, and they got a discount on that game night during the week. So they came in, if it was normally $10 to get in, it was $5 for the eBash Elite players to get in. We also tried to put them into some other scenarios where if there was an online game battles ladder, if there was something else, they would come in and play as a team of 4, play as a team of 5 in that online. So the rest of our players could cheer them on, representing the center as eBash Elite players. That whole thing that we set up, we tried to do one of those every 2 months for a different game. Those were the best attended, and we got the most regular players out of those events than anything else we did for money. Like, they just want to be recognized. They want to have some sort of status in your local center. That's what you have as a center owner when it comes to local tournaments, is you have the ability to put people on a pedestal in your local community that would not shine in another environment. So they're not going to be challenger level in League of Legends. You know, they're not going to travel with MLG in the Call of Duty or Halo circuit, but they can be the best local Halo player at your store and get some prestige out of that. And they all tell their friends. They all talk about it 1,000 times. They can't wait for the next tournament to try to win their way to make the team, just like they're used to doing in all the other sports events in high school and college. Like, they just want to make the team. So that was my little tidbit of takeaway for centers to try, is just try to run, you can call it a sponsored team, you can call it whatever you want, try to run a local tournament to try to find your best local players, and then do some fun stuff with them for a month and see if you can kind of generate the activity around that game and around that group of players.
All right. Kicking over to the ggCircuit Pulse for the day. We got a lot of updates, including some new stuff for our tournament system and some updates and news on the release of the Smart Launch skin. So take it away.
Yeah, so there's some juicy data here today. So this will be the part that all the ggCircuit longtime centers are keyed in on, hopefully. But just to know, this is in random order. As these things have come up this week, I've added them to the list. But the Halo API, it's not even on anybody's radar, but it just got released to the public. We've looked at it. The endpoints are there. The data's there. You know, it's going to be something that we look at probably before CSGO, because it'll be so quick for us to implement versus CSGO. So watch for that over the next week to 10 days, the ability for players to link their Xbox Live accounts, and we will start tracking Halo stats and giving coins in Halo. Now, that's a big deal because we're talking about the first game we've supported on the Xbox One. You know, sorry, Halo's not on the PlayStation for centers that only have PlayStations or Wii U's, but this is readily available for us. We've looked into it. Our team's looked at it. It's something we can add and get some value on very quickly, and so we're looking at putting it in the next week to 10 days. Second big thing, skin release schedule. For those of you, we've said November is the month. November is the month. The code has been released to Smart Launch to add into their next build. So we're talking with the Smart Launch team about getting that released. There'll be 2 stages of this. This week, we're hoping to release it through the beta program at Smart Launch. So if any of you centers are in the beta program, not that you're going to get it because you're in the beta program, because we still have the ability to turn it on and off from our end, but we want to put 5 to 7 centers on it this week. Yeah, we're talking like right now, 5 to 7 centers on it this week. And next week, we'll put another 10 or 15 centers on it. Full release, we're shooting for the week of November 23rd. So these are dates that we're pounding away at. We're really pushing Smart Launch to get this build into their next release. And so centers, everybody wants it. I know you all want it. Keep in mind that we want it, but we want it to release it. We want to release it in the right way at the right speed so that we've got the right features in it as well.
Did the lights just go off in your office?
Yeah, I think Dustin's here, and I think he went back to turn the lights off. I don't know what he's... Oh, there they go.
Got mood lighting in your office.
Yeah, we're bringing it down. Okay, so our next point is tournament system updates. So the ggCircuit tournament system has, and this is all released today. It's available for everybody today. There's a couple big points here. Brackets now can be selected when you make a tournament inside of ggCircuit. You can now select whether it's a team event or a player event. That's very, very, very important.
That's
for example,
admin.
Right. That's very, very important because now you can create a Hearthstone tournament or a Smash Brothers tournament. The player does not have to make a team. The player themselves can join the tournament. The second point is the admins can now auto-add single players into those tournaments. So my eBash Smash Brothers guys on Sunday this week can create a Smash Brothers bracket, can go in and select a Smart Launch username from our smart launch system and add them into the bracket themselves as the admin. The players do not have to do jack dookie. So that is going live today. I suggest you test it out. We'll be running it for a Hearthstone event tomorrow night. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal for us. The other part is there's a new type that you can select, whether it's a PC, an Xbox One, a PlayStation 4, a Wii U tournament. We're working to get the games in there to be added in as well, so that you can pick PC Hearthstone, or you can pick Wii U Smash Brothers. Right now, you'll still have to pick one of the generic game types for the games that we've integrated stats, but we're going to add in other games that you can select because, again, this will allow the Magician JMac to be able to pull leaderboards for you for your store for Smash Brothers. Even though we're not tracking Smash Brothers stats, we can track Smash Brothers tournament wins inside the system once you select your brackets as a Smash Brothers Wii U tournament. We'll be able to track the top Wii U player. We'll be able to track the top Xbox One player. That'll be across wins in all Xbox One games. So as we start integrating other games, you'll be able to do all those things. So that is available today. Get in there and test it out. Get in there and use it. You know, give us feedback on things that we can do to speed it up. Because that's in there, coming very soon is auto creation of ggCircuit accounts. That's coming very, very soon. So all of your smart launch players will soon automatically have a ggCircuit account created for them. That's a big deal as the release of the skin comes out, because they're going to sit down, they're going to log in, it's going to automatically show them all their stats, and they can then go authenticate and verify their email to become a silver user, get a coin bonus, and be able to get prizes from our sponsors like NVIDIA, Razer, and Alienware.
Yeah, very big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. ggCircuit Pulse, we're just running through these as quick as we can. I just wanted to touch on the Extra Life event because a lot of centers I saw run Extra Life events this year. They're a year behind us. You know, a lot of centers got on the game this year. We started last year. Our Indie Guild just killed it this year. I mean, we killed it. This is a big deal for me, both from a success in a LAN center standpoint, both from a success for the Children's Miracle Network standpoint, and the organization that it stands for is a great organization, and 100% of what they raise goes right to the children's hospitals in the area. We're going to do something with this year-round. Every center needs to be prepared for the Extra Life Game Day next fall, the one we just finished with. We're going to do something big for it. But in the meantime, I want to do something quarterly with Extra Life because it's such a great organization. It has such a great outreach, and we can get a lot of players into our centers playing for prizes that create money for these great organizations. So, again, we just talked about tournaments. We just talked about events. Other reasons why players would come and play. This is by far the best reason you could possibly play, because it will provide money and prizes for your players and money raised for the organizations that we're playing for. The last thing I'm going to touch on real quickly is the tip of the week. We'll talk more about the winter season, but the Wandemonium event is something we're working on. You know, centers that are part of ggCircuit, we're going to do this for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We're going to put together a fantastic lineup of events over that. It'll be a 48-hour period, but it's basically because it's a 24-hour period around the clock around the world. So centers in Asia and Australia will start, you know, their New Year's Eve, New Year's Day celebrations early before we're all awake here on the West Coast or on the Western Hemisphere. So prepare for that. We're going to do something big for that. It's going to be PC-based. There's going to be NVIDIA stuff. There's going to be hopefully some either Xbox or PlayStation events for Black Ops. You know, we're talking about big events, like a big tournament maybe on New Year's Day for Black Ops, where it could be a $10,000 payout that provides systems at U.S.-based centers to use for the tournament that I'm working on. You know, again, I don't want to say too much, but it's a big deal. So keep your calendars free. We're going to try to get the details for that out. Competition-wise, over the next hopefully 2 weeks, we'll finalize some things with some sponsors and be able to release the details for the New Year's Eve event. Again, it's called Wandemonium. It's something we want to do quarterly. It's a around-the-world WAN party that starts in Australia and Asia and moves all the way around the world as the clock goes over a weekend. It's a great idea. It's a great event. Where, you know, our goal is that we want 10,000 computers, 10,000 systems in the world's largest weekend WAN party. You know, it's basically a LAN party at all the centers, but we're connecting them all through our software into this gigantic machine that we just want to shower players and centers with sponsor prizes and drive players to the centers, you know, for these cool events that'll run over a weekend. So Wandemonium 1, we'll call it, is coming New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
Cool. Now this isn't the same thing as Game 24. Is it a completely different thing?
The concept is coming from Game 24.
Okay.
You know, Game 24 was an NVIDIA release party for their latest graphics card. They only did it at a few centers. They did some stuff in the centers. They loved that deal. And so NVIDIA is working with us on something at a grander scale that will reach, you know, all areas of the world around the clock so that there can be some sort of competition that, again, it's a casual thing players can show up for. And there's some really serious esports competitions sprinkled in there during that time period as well.
Okay, good deal. Let's move to the ggCircuit tip of the week, which is all about our winter season that's upcoming at the end of this month. Gosh, this November's flying already.
Right. And we're going to be there before we know it. You know, you and I are determined to be, you know, ahead of the game on this one. And, you know, it's already a thing that's, you know, creeping up on us. But the release of the new website that JMac's working on and the winter season and all of this stuff is going to come. I mean, it's going to be showering players and centers with all kinds of information. And so we're starting to get that ball rolling now for you guys so that we can hopefully have you prepared for these events. But the winter season, I had a couple great sponsorship meetings last week. Alienware's back on board. We've got some cool new sponsors like Ball's Energy Drink is going to be coming on board. The winter season is going to be in 5 regions. It's going to be a 10-week season. 8 weeks is going to happen as the regular season. 2 weeks are going to be the finals. The 8 weeks, and this is as soon as we firm up these prizes, we'll firm up these dates. But tentatively, it starts on Monday, November 30th. Every week, there's going to be an event. There's going to be a Gold Rush event that has prizes in the prize vault for gold members to rush for. So they're going to have really, really cheap prizes they can win, but it's going to be a race to the prizes tiered from sponsors. So I'll give you an example. You know, Razer, let's just use Razer as an example. It's not 100%, but Razer is going to give us 5 headsets for 5 regions of the world. So the Asia, Australia region will start Monday morning, and it'll be the first gold player to reach 5,000 coins has the choice of spending those 5,000 coins on a Razer headset. I mean, that's super cheap for a Razer headset, but it's a race. There may be then a keyboard that's also available from SteelSeries for 10,000 coins. So that first player at 5,000 coins is going to have to determine, do I spend my 5,000 coins on this headset? Because if I do, I'm going to eliminate the possibility of me reaching the 10,000 coin mark first for this other thing. And then there's going to be a 15,000 coin prize that might be, you know, something that's, again, tiered and worth more than the keyboard. That's our goal with this new season, is to have weekly events that happen all around the world in all these regions that are a Gold Rush style of events for them to play. And then regular players, not just gold members, will be able to play for fun prizes such as the top player in League of Legends. Every week in every region will win a $25 RP card. So again, that's $1,000 worth of RP we're going to give out over 8 weeks. So the winner in Asia, the #1 League of Legends player in Asia, in Australia region, will win a $25 card that first week. Shuffle it up, reset, brand new start Monday morning. The #1 player in that region for week 2 will win a $25 Riot Point card from them. So we're going to do that all around the world. The 5 regions, if I haven't said it yet: North America, South America, Europe, Middle East, and Asia/Australia. Those are the 5 regions that we're going to focus on for 8 weeks in the winter season. Grand prize winners, again, Alienware is awesome. They're going to provide an Alienware Alpha for us, so those won't be random anymore. We're getting away from the random winners. We'll have some random prizes. The random players will be able to play, but we're moving more into focused, you know, goals for the players over the season. So the 5 regions will advance players to the finals. And those players advancing to the finals will have a 2-week competition for the finals to determine who the grand prize winner is of the Alienware Alpha. So, again, we don't want players to lose focus of the task during the 8 weeks. But then as they win their region over those 8 weeks, they're going to move to the finals. And, again, it's going to be reset, start from 0, those players will be playing for the finals over the final 2 weeks of that winter season. This is what we're going to be moving a lot of the leaderboards to focus on. We're going to focus, we might start up, instead of doing this as a LAN Center show, we might have a show on Thursday that's just for the players, where we focus on the last week's players. We give away the prizes. We announce next week's Gold Rush prizes, and we do that sort of thing as a different Twitch show for the players only that you guys can then put on in your centers and show to the players and get them hyped about the prizes that are coming down from a lot of sponsors. We're super excited about it. I think it's going to solve some issues for us of like, why am I doing this? What are these prizes worth? Does not at all take away from what all of you need to be doing in your store for local prizes. Again, I like to use Jonathan as my example at local battles. His focus on the 50 coins per hour at his store should be on the rewards and redemption system within his store. The skill prizes, the competition prizes, the gold membership that gives you advances in coins and opportunities to play in other events, those things should be focused on the prizes coming from sponsors. So we're going to give you the ability to do that in your stores. If you want to, take the local 50 coins an hour and apply those to your local prizes. You have to have local prizes in your store to keep those players coming back that are just showing up to play on a regular basis. But we want to take the competition side of ggCircuit to focus all the leaderboards and everything on this 10-week season. We know new centers are coming on board. You're not going to catch, a center's probably not going to catch Derek Shaver. A new player is not going to catch Derek Shaver unless he stops playing. You're not going to be in the all-time leaderboard. That's still going to be out there. Those guys are still going to be fighting for it. There may be players that are inching their way into that may decide to go for it. But the overall player that comes into a LAN center brand new, we want them to jump in and have a chance to play for something that week. So if they come in and they want to, they can sit down and they can do the Gold Rush prize that week, try to go for the 3,000 coin, the 5,000 coin, the 10,000 coin prize for that week. If they don't get it, no sweat. There's another one next week. That's going to happen for 8 straight weeks during the season. We want those to happen and reset every week so that every center, every player has a chance to win something, even if they're a brand new center joining the program.
Yeah, I think that's always been our long-term goal besides helping LAN centers is to help those middle-tier players and new-tier players feel a part of something very quickly, that you don't have to be a top player to get some notoriety.
Right. And again, it will be very, very skill-based because if for players that don't remember or that may not be familiar with this or centers, everything we do has multipliers and levels that they earn the coins. So if you're playing in a League of Legends match on a ranked team, pre-made ranked team, you get 1.5 times the coin bonus of a player playing in a normal match. Same thing kind of goes for if you're playing a custom match. You actually get half the coins. So you can't just queue up a bunch of custom matches with your buddies. You can earn a little bit of coins, but you're never going to be able to compete with a very skilled ranked team player. If you don't have a ranked team, you can still play ranked single-player queues and earn I think it's 1.25 the coin bonus for those. So you're going to earn more coins the more serious matches you play. So we've taken care of all that in the formulas that you earn coins in. So it's not just the players that show up and pay the most to play in your centers. You have to be a good player to be able to get to that. I mean, I think, again, Derek Shaver, one of the guys I was talking to here that's number 7 on the leaderboard, they have a lot of respect for him. He's like a Diamond 2 or Diamond 1 player in League of Legends. I mean, the guy's not a scrub. He's not just 24/7 at the center grinding out coins. He's playing a lot of matches at the center, but he's also a good player. That's the only way to get on the top of those leaderboards.
All right, we got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to cover these last couple points. The center spotlight of the day goes to Escape Gaming from Gavel, Sweden. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right.
I'm sure it's not right.
It's probably not. Sorry, Andreas. Andreas is the owner, Andreas Johnson, and they have been an early adopter of ggCircuit since November 14th of last year. So some of our early adopters are coming up on their year anniversary of being involved with ggCircuit, which is
That's
awesome.
Cool.
Total gamers in that year has just around 1,800 gamers.
Wow.
For Escape Gaming. 2.3 million coins they've earned. And here's the kicker. They have given away 1,156 prizes to their players. which hopefully that makes them feel like they
That's
want to
almost
come back
100
to
a
it.
month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
almost
that's
100
a
a month.
great. That's easy to divide because he's been a center almost a year, so it's almost 100 a month.
Yeah. So, and their coins per hour is around 56. So that means they do have a handful of gamers that are connected to in-game and are earning more than just that hourly coins. Their top player is Xandro96, who has close to 72,000 coins.
Woo.
Globally, he's ranked 71st in the entire ggCircuit system, and in October he was ranked 459th. So again, that's a longevity thing. If he's been in the system for a year, chances are he's been able to earn a lot more coins, even though his rank in October seems like he's slipping a little bit. But Xandro, get on it, get back in the store.
Hey, that reminds me that I talked to the devs today, and they're doing a server update to get the trending and ranking stuff implemented.
Oh, that's awesome. That's what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, so this is the
Hallelujah.
case right here where this player needs to know. Like, we need to say you've dropped 42 places or whatever it is month to month.
Right.
Just the same as you want to notify a player that's doing well, you want to notify those players and say, listen, don't be sad, but JMac just passed you, and you don't. I mean, JMac sucks. You don't want JMac ahead of him. So
he does suck. Yeah, I've been waiting for that for a while to get that on the leaderboards. Another way to get people who are just in that maybe climbing the charts away for some notoriety in the system. All right, finally, our new center this week is Fun First Gaming from the Czech Republic, and our first one in that area.
I think he's going to work on doing some translation for us. I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, we're. I guess that's something we can reveal. I've got a graphic up on the screen right now, but one thing that I am trying to do is start to do some translations of the slider. So I will probably be reaching out to some center owners to make sure it's correct, but I have reached out to some translators to do Spanish, Portuguese, and Slovak, or the language of the Czech Republic. I need to do French, and someone else will yell at me from somewhere. Oh, Arabic. I don't want to forget Ibrahim at Challenge Arena.
Right.
He's going to help me do that as well. I think we're discussing it over email. So all good things coming up. So with that, that's the end of the day, and we'll see.
Well, you didn't even have our ending point.
Oh my gosh, I did.
What are you doing? That's a huge milestone.
Yeah, I don't even have a graphic for that. This week we overtook 70,000 gamers who have earned at least one coin in the ggCircuit system. So we're super excited about that, and it just seems like on a daily basis, right now it seems like we're averaging somewhere between 300 and 400 users that have earned a coin or become a new customer to all the centers. So congratulations to all the centers, whether it's more centers being added to ggCircuit or they're bringing in more customers. The benefit is to you and to us.
You realize that we're only, what is the 10th? We only have like 6 weeks for you and I to meet our goal for the year. And so we're going to have to get super busy, because our goal is by the end of the year, we wanted to have 100 centers and 100,000 gamers. So, I mean, we're close to that. We have almost 100 centers in the system. We have 66, I think I looked today, active centers.
Right.
So we've got to work on, the other 30 centers that are currently getting set up. We're going to have to really push. We can make it. I'm positive that we can make it. I think we can get to the 100,000 gamers for sure.
Yeah.
The 100 game centers in the system, I want to have that by the end of the year so bad.
All right, then get off your butt and let's do
it. Well, I mean, you just make me talk all day on these shows.
Hustle 2015.
That's right. #.
See you next week.
All right, see you, buddy.